Hi everyone, it's Tasha. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Okay, you might remember from my recent TJ Maxx and Home Goods haul video that I was checking out these marble cutting boards at TJ Maxx. These were $16.99, and I did end up going ahead and getting one of those, and I told you that I had in mind to use it for a thrift flip project that I kind of had in my mind and I had another piece for. So I did end up buying that, again $17, which I thought wasn't too bad to complete this project. So what I want to pair it up with is actually this wrought iron fireplace tool holder, and I really like the twisted detail on this particularly, and I thought that I could put these two together to make something cool. So my plan is to put the marble piece on the top and make this like a pedestal style table, or actually more like a plant stand because it's kind of high to be a little side table. So I'm just going to be using some hot glue and then also some E6000 to really firm up and hold it in place. But this bottom is nice and wide, and I don't really see a problem with this tipping over particularly. So it's made to hold heavy fireplace tools, so I think that it'll be safe for a small tabletop as well. So one thing I wanted to do was get this placed exactly on the center of that fireplace tool holder, because I found that when I was just trying to place it and eyeball it, I was always off depending on what side I was standing on, or even when I was leaning over and looking straight down. It was hard to get it completely centered, and I wanted the table to be as firm as possible and not lopsided. And so one way that I thought would be an easy way for me to find the center of this circle, not being mathematically inclined, was to make myself like a paper template that I could then fold. I knew that if I could make a paper template the same size as the cutting board, then I could fold it in half and then fold that exactly in half again, and that would show me the exact center mark. So once I found the center point, I just put a tiny hole in that using a screw that I found nearby, and then I could place that on top of the cutting board and just put a little tiny mark with a permanent marker so that I could then see the center of the circle, and that would allow me to visually place it a little bit better once I tried to lay it on top of the tool. Once I looked up from the bottom, I would just make sure that my black dot was exactly in the center of the little hole in the middle of the holder. So I think that this looks so pretty together with the marble and the black wrought iron. The only other thing that I'm noticing is it looks nice from the straight top down, but then the fact that these kind of end here looks a little funny to me. So, and this is going to be a really odd solution. You're going to laugh at me, but that's okay. I just wanted something to kind of visually continue this line so that it looks like it's going all the way up and was made as a table. And so I came up with straws. Just a plastic straw from a cup that we're no longer using, and I thought what I would do is put these right on here, paint them black obviously so they're going to be the same color, and then I'm thinking once those are in place and they're black and they just kind of continue that line, you won't notice that these end and this plastic straw solution begins. That's my hope. So I'm going to spray paint these black, glue this to these key points under here so that it's all steady with my E6000 and some hot glue just to hold it temporarily. And then I think that this will work out. So after a good clean, I got to work on painting those little straw pieces so that I could use those, and I just decided to put them on top of a small twig in the ground for easier painting. So once I attached my tabletop and my little black extender pieces, this is how the little plant stand turned out. You'll have to let me know in the comments what you think of this little DIY. Another thing that I picked up from the thrift store recently was this little plate rack that you can hang on the wall and display two plates. You could also display something else like some small pieces of artwork stacked, which would be kind of cool, but I've been having the itch to try out hanging some plates on the wall. I've never done that before. It's a very traditional look, and I think coming back now in this sort of modern cottage style, but for me it's new, so I didn't want to risk too much, put too much money into it. So $3.99 for the plate holder, and I kept my eye out at thrift shops when I was looking at the glassware for some plates that I liked. I really like this ruffle bowl, by the way, but it was $9.99, so I left it behind. Let me know if I should have gotten it. Anyway, at a yard sale, I ended up finding a lady who had plates for sale, and she was selling these two beautiful blue plates for just $2 a piece. And I thought that was the perfect way to try this out in my home. So I picked up these two, and I thought I would stack them with the larger one with the coaching scene on the bottom, and then the smaller circular one on the top. So I've just chosen this little area of my dining room that has a little blank wall, and I'm going to be using some screws for this to make sure it's nice and sturdy. I would hate to break a plate with this falling over. So once it is, I'm just trying these out as I described with the bigger one on the bottom, and I do think that they look very charming. I love the blue and white, and obviously that's very trendy right now. But I will admit, since my home is mostly neutrals with a little bit more muted colors, the blue is a little bit brighter than I kind of envisioned when I brought them home. So let me know if you think it works in my space. Now, I did end up hitting up Trosa thrift store, which is nearby me, which is really huge. I don't go there every week, but I did this week. And I picked up this little vintage style magazine basket, and this was $9.99. The shape is what really caught my eye. I wasn't crazy actually about the blue kind of border and design on the front. Just kind of looked a little bit old fashioned to me and not particularly in a way that I was going for. Also, it was kind of shabbily done, maybe at the factory. It just didn't look that great. And so, at the risk of offending someone out there who thinks that I should have left it alone, I decided that I would really like this to be just one color, and I thought that it would probably look better. So I'm always nervous to do something like this, and I'm thinking, uh oh, hope I like it. But as soon as I started covering up the blue, I felt like my decision was the right decision because I really like this piece all in one color. I think that the different weaving and the pattern in the weaving is enough to still make it a charming piece without it being two-toned with the blue included. And so I just gave this a coat of my spray paint, which is called Latte by Rust-Oleum that I got from Walmart. And I think that this looks so much better. You could style this with books or magazines or records, anything like that. And so right now I'm just showing you with some of my decorating books here. And I think that this adds a lot of charm anywhere I might want to sit this in our home. One thing I love about thrift shops is you never know if you're going to come home with a larger item or a smaller item. And so I really like this beautiful little glass leaf dish. This only cost me 49 cents from the same thrift store called Trosa. They're going for 15 or $20 online, just these vintage little leaf shaped glass dishes. And so I thought 50 cents, you could not beat it. And these are perfect for styling on top of a stack of books or just anywhere where you want another little pop of kind of texture and layer, but not a lot of color or visual clutter. Another find that I wanted to quickly share with you was this very large basket, which I picked up at a thrift shop this week for just $15. I did think that for such a large size, that was a pretty good price, especially for the seagrass. And I'm not going to be styling this one so much as putting my daughter's Beanie Baby collection in it in her playroom. Anything like this where you can put something practical inside something beautiful is a win in my book. Now, one of my favorite things that I found this week was actually this little candle holder. I love how this one has three arms coming out. I love the big swoop, which is really in right now. And I especially love the ruffled edges of the actual candle holders themselves. Somewhere like Magnolia, for instance, has tons of scallop designs on their website. And they're very trendy right now. And it just really caught my eye as a piece that blended something vintage with that contemporary touch of something that is stylish right now. It only cost me $1.99, so it was a no-brainer. I did need to give it a quick coat of black spray paint, but that was easy enough. I'd like to use this in my master bathroom. We have a double vanity in there, and currently I have this nice big rustic bowl, which I also thrifted a while back, and I've just styled it very casually with a shell we picked up on our travels, as well as a couple of hand towels and some soap. And I thought that this metal piece might go really well and kind of contrast with that rustic bowl. So I'm just trying it out here in the middle of our two mirrors on our vanity and styling it with some more contemporary style candles, which are the twisted, more trendy style, which I can always swap out for a different color or anything that I want. But this was such an easy thing to add to this bathroom for $2. And I think that it looks really pretty. And as a fun aside, I also picked up this little body wash set from Trader Joe's, which apparently are limited edition and people get kind of excited when they come out with them and bring them back. So I grabbed one for only $2.99, even though there's not a Trader Joe's super close to me. So that was fun. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed these thrift finds and DIYs, I'd appreciate you hitting the like button before you leave and the subscribe button if you would like to see more of my videos in your feed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone listening has a fantastic week, and I will see you at the next video.